Hello and welcome to the Overland Journal Podcast. Today I'm very excited to have the 2025 Expedition Portal Overlanders of the Year here, Leigh and Steph from GrizzlyNBear Overland. Thank you so much for joining me from Oman, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us, and thank you for the great honour of, we can say that, the great honour of this award.
A big surprise.
Yeah, it was a cool start to the new year.
Wonderful. Yeah, so the award, folks that are chosen for the award inspire others, give back to the Overland community, whether that's through videos or books, blogs, etc., and embody the spirit of real-world overland travel that focuses on people, places, and cultures. And now you're a part of the club, as previous recipients included Malamish and Land Cruising Adventure. So what a cool honor. So
it is very cool.
Yeah.
It is. Thank
so
you.
Very well deserved, obviously. And I wanted to rattle off some stats because you two have been doing this for a while. So you've been overlanding for 9 years as of 2026. You have over 300 episodes on YouTube. That is incredible dedication. Yeah. You've been to 49 countries. Soon will be 50, heading into Saudi.
Mm-hmm.
And there are over 242,000 kilometers on your 2010 Land Rover Defender 130, which is outfitted with a 4-wheel camper, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for a long time and very consistently, and obviously love it. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure to follow along with you guys along the way. I wanted to go back to the beginning and ask you more about like how you met and why you decided to start overlanding.
Head on over to expeditionportal.com or our YouTube page and join us along with Han-Kook Dynapro Tire at the Off-Road Expo in sunny Costa Mesa, California. It was a great family event that showcased everything from jumping rally trucks to Jeeps, pickups, and expedition builds.
So Leigh and I met in 2009 on a rock climbing trip. Oh, Leigh was on a rock climbing trip and I was traveling, and we met there.
In Thailand.
In Thailand, yes. And soon after I moved to Australia, and it has always been about traveling, really.
Certainly has. Yeah, I think myself anyway, growing up in Australia, the overland culture is strong there. You know, it's I grew up in a semi-rural sort of area on a farm, so I was around 4x4s from a very young age. Used to head away on annual camping trips with the family. Like everybody, it's a massive part of the Australian culture, as you probably know. So yeah, it was already a part of my life. When Steffi came out, she didn't have much choice. She had to. She went from the fancy streets of Paris to living out of a trailer in Australia with a Toyota at the time. I had an 80 series. We decked that out and we travelled Australia for a couple of years, living out of a rooftop tent and a self-made camping trailer. Absolutely clueless to anything. Pretty much, we built this thing. We made a lot of mistakes, mostly mistakes, I would say.
No, you too at the time. So you can't, like, we were talking about it a few days ago. Actually, I think Leigh had the fridge plugged straight to the.
Oh yeah.
Like we had no clue.
Yes, it was cool, but yeah. So that's sort of how we got into it. I guess was myself growing up doing it, Steffi coming to Australia, and it was always based on the rock climbing trips. So we would drive this car around, go from climbing area to climbing area within Australia to start with, I guess, and then
we also did that in Europe, and we had a short wheelbase Land Rover, and we were kind of overlanding at the time, but we would pick a destination within a country and we will stay at the same place for months because it was just all about rock climbing. But in between, it was that journey in between where we started to discover the world and the people of the world. the kindness of the people, the cuisine, and we really enjoyed that. But we made it from France as far as Turkey, and then we didn't know that we could continue, so we returned to France.
And then I guess that was the first taste of international overlanding, country to country. In Australia, of course, it's an island. You know, we were big overlanding country, but you're not crossing any borders. You know, you're crossing some state borders, but it's not quite the same thing. So once we did that, like Steffi mentioned, we arrived in Turkey, and we asked ourselves the question. We said, why can't we just keep driving? You know, what's stopping us? I didn't even know overlanding, international overlanding was a thing. Like, you know, continuing outside of Europe. We got excited when we crossed the bridge, as you guys would have done into Asia. You know, you've done the continent. It's like, whoa, we've just entered Asia. We turned around and we came back across the bridge, and then we did it again because we missed the photo of the sign. So it was like, that was a big excitement. And I actually went back to work. I was working in Angola at the time, and I was working with an Australian guy, and I explained to him what we'd just done or what we'd been doing over the couple of years, you know, just moving around Europe, Eastern Europe, and as far as Turkey, and how we both wanted to keep going, like just continue. We didn't know where to, but we just wanted to keep driving. Like, why can't we drive our car around the world? And it was quite funny. Actually, he lives in Canada. He lives on Vancouver Island, my buddy Jai, Aussie guy with a Canadian girl. And he said to me, he goes, oh, haven't you heard of that South African family? Like they've been doing it for years with a Defender 130. He couldn't remember the name, so we jumped on Google, had a look, and obviously Mr. Graham Bell and Louisa Bell's name pop up, and I see that he's written a book all about this, so I ordered the book. And that was, I guess, our first Graham's book, Travel the Planet Overland. Got that in the mail, read that cover to cover, and I was like, oh my God, this is possible. We can do this. We can drive our own car around the world. And that would have been in 2016, I guess. Yeah, the year before we left. Even 15, maybe. 2015. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then we saved, and then we bought bigger Defender.
Yeah, so then we thought, well, that's when we realized probably we would like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it properly. We want to do it comfortably. Yeah. The Defender 90 was a little bit tight to sort of deck out for an overland vehicle. So we bought the first 130. I surprised Steffi with that purchase. And that was it. We bought the 4-wheel camper and we set off.
We knew it was going to be for the long term. So we didn't want a rooftop tent because we experienced the rooftop tent for 2 years in Australia. And we knew if we wanted to be doing this for many years, it's challenging, the rooftop tent. We wanted a proper living space.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you knew too that you'll be running into a whole bunch of different types of weather. And if you're doing it full time, you know, cold, rain, wind, snow, all that stuff. So the inside living space is the most. For that, it's so great.
As you know,
it's essential. Yes. But I think to maintain the long-term overland journey, I think it's tougher people than us out there. Don't get me wrong, it's way tougher. People are doing it in far less, and we always have great admiration for the people that are doing it on bicycles and living out of tents. But a lot of them, they might do it for a year or two, and they're not long-term. Super long term, you know, and we toughed it out in the little rooftop tent for a couple of years, but we knew we wanted to do this. We didn't want to have an end date. We wanted to do this long term, and we knew that it's more likely that we're going to maintain the passion if we've got a small house and something that we can go into and, like you said, escape the rain and the extreme weather and the elements and have a cozy living space.
And privacy also.
Privacy is a big one, yeah.
With the rooftop tent, you live outside, you cook outside, and you don't have much privacy, which sometimes you need.
You do, yeah. Some of the areas you're going through are quite populated, and sometimes you need a break or a nap, or at a border crossing, oh my gosh, it's so luxurious to have the option of going in and making a snack at some point, you know? So, it's great. It's great. I'm curious, what were you most concerned about and looking forward to at the beginning? Like, what kind of things in your mind were you thinking about that maybe you were worried about as you took off?
Uh, for me, my biggest concern at the beginning was the cost of fuel. I said, this is going to be huge. But actually, you don't drive that much. We will be driving less than someone that goes to work every day. Sometimes,
Yes.
we drive a lot sometimes, but there are so many days or you don't move or you do short distances. So I thought the fuel expense will be way bigger than what it
Stephanie
was.
was concerned we were just going to run out of money instantly because of fuel. And I said, well, we don't need to travel so fast. We don't have a deadline. I know a lot of people maybe have okay, we're going to do this trip. We have 12 months or we have 24 months, even 3 years maybe, but there is an end, there's an end to this journey. And we said, no, just go extremely slowly. And the kilometers you mentioned earlier on the car, it's actually, we bought the vehicle at 109,000. So let's say in 9 years of overlanding, we've only put 130,000 kilometers on that vehicle, which is, like Steffi mentioned, that is less than an average person going to work in the city every single day because we choose to travel extremely slowly. So the fuel consumption was definitely not an issue. And as you know, in other parts of the world, like Central Asia, fuel can be far more affordable than what we're used to definitely in Australia and Europe. So
Yes.
the money went a little bit further on fuel, that's for sure.
So,
Wasn't a concern in the end.
Fun fact, the cheapest fuel, more affordable fuel we ever came across was in Angola, and this was 13 cents a liter, euro cents.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
nice.
Here in the Middle East, it's about 60 cents, euro cents.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yes. Yeah. It really helps to kind of, I don't want to say justify, but if you have some sort of decision to make, you're like, should we go to this place? Or like in Greece for us, we're like, we're probably not going to go there. Actually, we got to get out of here. It's like,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great point. It's a great point. I think that I saw that number. I'm like, wow, that's pretty low. And it's a testament to moving slowly. So that's a great thing. Yeah. Did you have any other kind of concerns?
I don't think I had so many concerns. Maybe the winters. Coming from Australia again, I didn't. I come from Western Australia, especially. We don't get snow there. We get excited when it hails, because that's the most we see on the ground. We pretend it's snow. So I guess facing the Central Asian winters was probably a bit of a concern at the beginning. And then, but you manage it, you come across these challenges and you manage them. But other than that, I don't think we didn't really do, other than Graham's book, we didn't do a whole heap of research. We bought the car, we decked it out, and we just went. And
we
just learned and we experienced things. We made a lot of mistakes, of course, as you do, still making mistakes 9 years later. And I think that's all part of it. You learn, you're constantly learning, and there's no one out there that's learned it all. But no, I don't think we had any, other than that, no major concerns when we set out.
Yeah, I was going to say, what were you looking forward to most?
I would say for me, it was the rock climbing, the continuing of the climbing. And at this stage, we were starting to get into hiking a little bit more. So it was the rock climbing always dominated for 12 or 13 years, but then we started to not drift away from climbing. The climbing always remained important to us and still is to this day a big passion in our lives. But we started to enjoy longer distance hiking trips more as well. So I guess we were heading into these countries with some of the most beautiful hiking and opportunities in the world. So that was something we were very much looking forward to, and developing new climbing areas as we've always done.
Yeah, I'd love to ask you a little bit more about that, the hiking and climbing, but you guys are really great at prioritizing out of truck excursions, which I love too. We love getting out of the truck and getting out there. But you've developed some new climbing routes at a whole bunch of areas all over the world. I think if you are Australia, Georgia, Japan, Angola, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. And I don't know if you have any plans to do that going forward, but tell me a little bit about the importance of the climbing route in Malawi.
This one's been very special, and it's in a place called Mulanje. Malawi has a cool but very small climbing community. Unlimited climbing potential in that country, not just in the one region we went, but all over the country, from north to south, east to west. The place is just filled with massive granite domes and boulders and mountains, but Mulanje itself is very special. So we went there with the intention to actually bolt a big wall. We were going to do a big wall, but when we got there, the place is just so overwhelming. It's like, their biggest wall there is 700 meters higher than El Capitan in Yosemite. You know, it's enormous. It's 1,700 meter high face climb. The whole place was just so huge. So we said, okay, let's, instead of focusing on this massive thing, let's develop a smaller climbing area that people with limited amount of equipment, which is often the case in Africa, can come and enjoy in this magnificent setting that they can hike every day. And so we found a small area close to camp, which had a river right there. You could swim, and we developed that. And we have had so much feedback from the Malawi climbing community since leaving, on Instagram and other social media platforms, just messages and just saying thank you. Thank you so much for developing this area. Now we have somewhere to go and climb at Mulanje that's not dangerous, and these other climbs, they're so committing. You need to be a professional alpinist almost to tackle this sort of thing. But now locals and expats living in Malawi can go to a smaller area that we developed in Mulanje and enjoy it. That one was special. Yeah, it was really cool.
And also, it's a good area for learning to rock climb on the outside, like on the proper cliff. A lot of people, they climb indoors because they have a climbing gym or a bouldering gym in the cities. But over a weekend, you can go there and rock climb on the real rock and learn how to lead climb, because we put a couple of very easy routes. We put some medium difficulty, and Leigh also did a couple of harder one that we left open as a project for anyone to come and climb and get what we call the first descent, which means the first person to succeed the route. And this one has already been done.
Yeah, a Norwegian guy messaged me the other day and said he'd completed one of the tough climbs I left there as a challenge for anyone strong enough. So that was really cool to know, you know, and knowing that it's quite remote down there. So knowing that people are making the effort to drive out there and do it, it's been, that one was extra special.
Yeah.
That and Angola too.
That's so great. Yeah, tell me more about Angola.
Right. That was very cool, because that was you can talk about that one, Steffi.
So Angola, I came across it's one American guy called Nathan. He was based in Angola. His wife worked as
at the embassy,
and he's the husband of the lady. Like, he hasn't got
He's a stay-at-home dad who just gets to go climbing every day while his wife works at the embassy.
Awesome guy with so much energy that he got so highly involved in the climbing community in Angola, taking all the kids and teaching the kids and teaching the local communities. And so he's got this huge passion for the sports and for what he does. And we got in touch with him, and together we went and we started to develop. This place had some climbing done earlier in the 70s, and then it got sort of put aside. So now together we started to develop more and more, and he organized a climbing festival there. A couple of it's been 2 years now.
2 years now, and they're growing very fast.
Growing very fast, and it's magical area. Has so much potential.
Serra de Leba is the name of the area. Now, it's a very special area to me because I worked in Angola for 5 years, so that country is a special country to me. I have a lot of friends there, and some of the local guys I worked with over the years, they knew that I was a climber because where I was working on the offshore platform, I built a small climbing wall, and I used to be climbing every day in the gym, and they would show me photos of this place, and they'd say, "You need to come one day, come, climb this one. Nobody's climbing here." And I'm looking, I'm thinking, this looks amazing. And they gave me the name, and it was this Serra de Leba. And I don't know how many hundreds of images I looked at this place online over the years that I worked in Angola. And then after I left Angola, and I told the locals at the time, my friends on the rig, I said, one day I'm coming there to climb these walls. And they said, "Yeah, you come, and we'll show you." I said, "But I'm going to drive my car there. I'm not going to fly in." I said, "Oh no, what do you mean?" They didn't really get what I was talking about, And I said, "I'm going to bring my own vehicle to Angola." And said, "No, we'll pick you up at the airport." I said, No, I'm driving. And then, I guess, what did we do it in 2024? So 7 years after I finished working in Angola, I arrived in the city of Lubango. My friend, who was a mechanic on the ship that I was working on, he met us, and I told him, I said, "I told you one day I was coming with my car, and I'm here with my car."
Wow.
That was cool. That was a special moment. Yeah.
Then he took us to the hardware store. We needed a drill bit.
Drill bit shopping with my mate in Lubango. But so that was very cool, very cool. I think the climbing, it's cool to mix. This is an overlanding podcast, so we better not talk too much about climbing. But it's I think other people can relate to sharing a passion or overlanding for a passion. We overland for many, many reasons. It's definitely not climbing alone. It used to be climbing alone, like Steffi said, but now it's everything you mentioned: the people, the cultures, the food is a reason to overland. The hiking, the waking up with a new backyard every single day. You open your window, you look out. But having the one driving passion, which has always been rock climbing, we've drifted away from it. We've come back to it. We've drifted away like this over the years, but it's always been there. That we're hiking or whatever, and we're looking, we're like, "Oh my God, look at this cliff face. We need to come here and climb." So it's been driven our passion to overland, we can say, over the years, and kept it strong.
And that's what makes us the happiest.
Always happiest when we're climbing. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And it's so rewarding to be able to leave the vehicle and get out there and sort of rejuvenate, and everything's kind of simpler, and I don't know. Yeah. You're just out there exactly seeing things you wouldn't necessarily see. Yeah, exactly. Yes. I wanted to just chat a little bit about the long distance hikes that you've done, because you've done quite a few now. And let's talk about some of the highlights. Do you have any favorite routes that you've done?
So we hiked that was 3 years ago. We hiked the entire length of Jordan, from the north, Umkais, to the south, Aqaba. And it was just the 800 kilometers. And to this day, it was personally the most amazing experience, including the scenery, the remoteness, the challenge, the historical sites we came across, the hospitality and the kindness of the people. Everything was just
very special hike. That was cool. We did that one whilst the vehicle was being shipped from Australia to South Africa. So we knew that shipping route was going to take some time. So this was a great opportunity to jump on a long distance trail. We thought, okay, we've got to do something. We're not going to, it was either that or go climbing. I said, all right, we're going to do this trail. And it was Kuhn and Karen that inspired us to do from Land Cruising Adventure. They were the ones that inspired us to do the Jordan Trail.
They recommended it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that was pretty special. We thought of them a lot whilst we were doing that hike, and without them recommending that, there's no way we would have done it. We wouldn't have even heard about it, and it was challenging too because it's a few years now. It's been I guess a world-renowned through hike, but I would say 20% of it is marked. And the rest of it you really need to know how to navigate. There's limited water supplies. It was a big challenge. We'd gone. Our previous longer distance hike was the Bibbulmun track in Australia, which was 1,000 kilometers. But this through hike it's a through hike for beginners, and it was perfect because it was our first one. So we went from doing this very easy,
you go from hut to hut with water supply and extremely well marked with the triangles. Yeah, it's very well set up
for through hiking, and it's in Australia. And then we went to Jordan and just went to this extremely difficult one, so it was like one easy, two, there was no in between. We went easy, then we went extreme, so it was super challenging, and I guess that just made it all the worthwhile. The people were amazing, the landscapes mind-blowing, just the dogs. There were a lot of nasty stray dogs that attack us every day, but it was the only downside to the Jordan Trail.
Would you do it again, since you're kind of going in that sort of direction?
Not the same one.
We're talking about will we go to Jordan? Because we didn't have the car when we did that hike, and we were thinking, should we return to Jordan? And the memory is just so special and magical because of what we did. I'm afraid that if we went with the car, we would have not a good experience. I don't want to damage my memories. I don't know how to explain if that's really clear, but we've seen the most amazing sceneries there, and we got there on foot after so many hours, and so to see Petra was so special because we walked there. We didn't drive, park the car, walk. This is Petra. Like, we arrived from the back.
Yeah, we'd already walked like 600 kilometers, I think, by the time so it was like we earned this, right to walk into Petra from the back way. And yeah, we were discussing it the other day, whether we would go back now that we're in the region. Will we go there with Grizzly and Bear and take the car in? But we're not sure. We're like, we've walked across that entire country. Do we need to go there with the car? I'm not sure, because overlanding for us is it's everything, but you can overland on foot as well, as many people do, and I think we overlanded that country pretty good with our own two legs. And I don't know if we'll go there with the car. Just leave that memory the way it is,
Yeah, why mess with something that was so special to you? I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
How has your overland style changed over time?
It's quite massively, I guess, because we have recently, well, I say recently, it's been a couple of years now, but we have, since we've been on this journey, so we have, backing it up a little bit, we briefly mentioned it before, we've been 9 years in this setup with this Land Rover, but then it was 2 years before that, vehicle-based living out of the Defender 90, and then a couple of years in Australia. So it has been, say, 13 years that we've been primarily living out of vehicles, like not always in the vehicle themselves, but traveling and living out of vehicles. So it's gone over the years from a rooftop tent and a self-made camping trailer that we towed around Australia for those couple of years, completely clueless. Then we went to the Defender in France, which we traveled all around Europe. And like Steffi said, that was more, we had a tent. We used to do a mixture between Airbnbs. We'd move the car around, but we'd stay in Airbnbs, campsites with the small tent, doing some hiking trips. And then, of course, the going to the four-wheel camper. with our original version of the Defender, which 2 years ago we completely rebuilt. And that rebuild was the culmination, I guess, of all those years, all those kilometers and elements that we'd lived through in different forms of camping setups and vehicle-based living to suit our style that we knew we had by then down to a T. You know, I knew exactly what we needed to build to suit our style of overland travel completely. And we were fortunate enough to find the most incredible place in South Africa to build what we believe, and I say this often, that what is perfect for us and suits our style doesn't suit everybody, because everybody travels differently with different passions. But we built the ultimate overland vehicle for our style of travel, definitely.
And our needs.
And our needs, yeah. It was amazing. So the style has definitely changed over the years, but now there's not anything now that we can think of to improve or fault the setup that we've got now. But that's come through experience. It didn't happen the first time, you know. It took years and years and years of traveling overland to figure out what is our style of travel, what's going to suit if we do a rebuild. And yeah, it was fantastic to do that.
So what are some of the things that you did to suit your style of travel? I bet. Yeah, it was a big project.
Oh, it was a huge project. And that was Stephanie. She did all of it. I went back to work to finance this project. So my job's quite cool because I do rotation work. So when I do work full time, it's still only 6 months a year. So I work a 1 month on, 1 month off rotation. But I was working quite a lot, doing a bit of overtime and everything, because we had to pay for this rebuild, you know, and it was a big job. So Steffi, she became a resident of South Africa, and she was workshop based and managing the entire project.
Managing
for you.
And on the tools. She was on the tools.
I was on their back, and they would probably see, no, she's coming today. No, we don't want to see her. But because I was
a perfectionist.
I was also we were authorized, like we were given the green card to document the rebuild. So I was there capturing images, but also being involved and asking lots of questions, like you know. But yeah, it was, looking back now, it was a great experience. It wasn't every day. Well, it was stressful for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the day so what we did, our vehicle was a 4 doors, and we modified to a 2-door to bring the camper forward and to change the weight distribution over the vehicle. We had the spare tire on the roof, so we changed location for better
center of gravity. There were many things. I had this dream in my head for a long time to build this setup, you know, and it's not a completely original setup. Like, this style of what we've done is very common in Australia, and for 50, 60 years, people have been building flatbed conversions with storage boxes. You know, a lot of the tradesmen and stuff in Australia, they have these setups, these builds. There's the big companies like Norweld and stuff. They've been doing this kind of thing for years, but, you know, I wanted it specific, exactly how we needed it. Essentially, we wanted to be better organized. We had these rear seats, you know, and it was always a mess in there. We very rarely took passengers. We would pick up hitchhikers and stuff. The original idea to keep some seats in the back rather than remove them at the beginning was that we're like, maybe we'll have friends and family come to visit and travel with us for a little while, or we'll pick up hitchhikers all the time. And we didn't have so many people coming to visit, and we were very rarely picking up hitchhikers. We would if they were there, but it just wasn't happening.
Not many people hitchhiking.
No. So this rear seat space, it was just a mess, you know. We said, we can be better organized here. And I actually made one of the few little YouTube videos I attempted to make. I made a little video just talking about what my dream build would be, you know, and And it was essentially that I drew this thing up, and I said, this would do this. We'll move the camper forward. We'll have better center of gravity. We can get the spare tire off the roof. We can just be organized. And that meant for our style, again, we spoke about style before, our style of travel means outdoor sports, outdoor equipment, things that we do not want inside the camper. So a lot of people ask us the question, why didn't you go for a flatbed four-wheel camper or a flatbed truck camper, because you do have a lot more inside living space. So we don't need the inside living space. We go inside to sleep, and that's essentially it. We do have a small living space in there, but we needed exterior storage, and I wanted all this stuff. I didn't want any of this stuff inside. We don't want rock climbing equipment in our living space, hiking equipment, camping equipment, none of this stuff, cooking equipment, the firewood, the braai, all of this sort of stuff. It needed to be exterior. So we worked it out to the millimeter and utilized all of the exterior storage space to build this this flatbed with side storage boxes and a garage box. And it was really cool and a fantastic experience to be involved in the design from the ground up. We cut that car in half, we stripped it back to the chassis, and we essentially rebuilt from the chassis up. So it was amazing.
Thanks to Dynapro Tire for supporting this week's podcast. Visit expeditionportal.com to learn more about rugged terrain tire design as we interview their tire experts and take a close look at the Dynapro XT as an example of the rugged terrain tire category.
Yeah, I can see why or how that would be a little bit stressful.
On the phone all the time from work. What are they doing? Check this, go check this out. What's going on there?
From a beautiful car in less than 2 hours, they had removed everything. It was just a chassis. And I was there watching. They took the car to pieces. It was like 20 guys, maybe 10 guys working on it. In less than 2 hours, there was nothing left of the car. And
it was it was a bit intimidating. I wasn't there for that process, but I got the videos from Steffi, and I think it was at that moment I did, we discussed this. This wasn't something we rushed into. This had been years in the making, and we would originally, I did get some very loose quotes whilst we were in Australia, but way out of our budget. We couldn't afford to do this probably in any other country other than South Africa. And that's because, of course, the conversion rate was in our favour. So it was affordable, much more affordable for us to choose South Africa.
And they've got the expertise and
the skill is next level. It's very similar to Australia with their outdoor living culture, and they deck out the buckies, as they call them, which is like a truck, as you guys would say in North America, or a ute in Australia. They deck them out, and they're very good at what they do, and they're willing to customize a lot of things that you wouldn't get in Australia. In Australia, it's more like, okay, you've got option A, B, and C. You can make slight modifications on those main options, but that's it. You want to do anything really extensive, you need to do it yourself. Whereas in South Africa, it was incredible. I was very particular. Everything was to the millimeter, because we didn't just make a single cab truck. We made an extra cab. So I needed 150 millimeters, so they built new panels for the Defender, in a press, and like stuff you just wouldn't get done in other parts of the world. No way.
Everything is possible. Everything is possible. But they are willing to help. And it was
amazing. But I got sidetracked. It was intimidating. And when I saw that video from Steph of them stripping the car, I did have the thought, like, have we made the right decision here? Because it's you can relate. It's your home, it's your house. It's it was everything. It is everything to us. And I was like, oh, geez, we just pulled this car to pieces. It's got to go back together, and this could turn into a disaster. But it didn't.
We're so glad. Yes. Victitech is the name of the company. One of the companies.
Okay, great. How is the build now? Like all these big changes you made, is it the thing you thought it was going to be?
Yes.
That
and more.
And more. Yeah, it's
yes.
We also changed, so the four-wheel camper that we bought originally was white, and the car is green and black. And the car I knew was gonna look so beautiful. And I said to Leigh, we can't have this white camper that is already almost 10 years old. It's aging a little bit. And I asked someone, I said, oh, can we have it wrapped, like put or painted or something so it suits the car? And they said, no, we can't paint this, we can't wrap this, it's not gonna look great. And we decided to strip the four-wheel camper, and we changed the panels, and we had them painted same color as the car. So now it really makes it like one unit, matching unit.
They did a really good job.
You were involved in the camper.
Yeah, the camper, I was there for a bit of that, and I was there for bits and pieces of the car rebuild as well. Steffi did most of it, but yeah, when it came to the end, I was there. So that was really nice, because I think it is important to know your overland vehicle, and know, especially when you're doing such a massive rebuild, it's really good to be there for the important pieces. We know that vehicle, every nut and bolt, where everything goes. It is important when it's your home on wheels. You have to know that thing inside and out. But no, we could not be happier with the rebuild. It's been fantastic, and of course there were teething issues. It took a little while. There were the initial build. There was a few, let's say, quality control issues, not from Victitech, from another company that did some work, and then we did have to rebuild a lot of the front end of the Defender, which was a shame. But in doing that, I was there for a lot of that too, so I learned more. We put it back together better than it was before, and I think now, has it been 2 full years already?
No, 1 year.
Since we finished the rebuild?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 year on, we feel like, can I knock on wood here, that that we've sort of got through the worst of all the teething issues. And it's normal though. I work in a big industry as well, and we're working with some of the most state-of-the-art equipment from all over the world, and stuff breaks. It's just the way it is. And whenever we do big jobs, like in massive overhauls of equipment or anything, we expect issues. You expect issues with something you can't pull something apart completely, put it all back together and expect everything to just be perfect. So we were prepared for, some minor glitches. There were a few that were probably a little bit more than minor that we weren't ready for, but we're on top of them now. And
I think now
it's made our day-to-day living just so much easier. Storage, everything's quicker now. Packing up was always very quick with a truck camper, but now it's even quicker, more efficient. We know where it took us a long time, but now we know where we keep everything, in what boxes where, and it's been a pleasure to live out of this thing now, for sure.
Incredible. Yeah, not moving something to get to something, and it's always good. And yeah, that's so great. I'm excited for you guys. And yeah, it's always kind of an unknown, right? And like you were saying, it's your home, and it's like a huge part. It's your third teammate kind of. So you don't really know how it's going to go.
The problem child.
Cool.
This is what made it an exciting rebuild, was to do it in a foreign country. We weren't doing it in our own country. So that was, most people build their overland vehicle at home. They build it before they leave, and we did that as well. We built our initial build in France before we left, and then we rebuilt our vehicle in a foreign country. So that had challenges in itself, dealing with different cultures. Fortunately, it was, my native speaking, sort of. They were mostly speaking Afrikaans, but they speak English fluently as well. So it's, that took away a big challenge, but still, you're doing it in another country. So that was an exciting, I would say, part of it. And the connection we formed with those guys, day in, day out in the workshop, I think there were tears. It was emotional when we reversed Bear under Grizzly and lowered that camper and it fit. Everybody was so nervous, we measured it 1,000 times, and it's like, but when everything fit Everything was perfect, and it lowered on. You could feel the emotion
Excitement
at the workshop. It was very special.
Aw.
that day.
All those guys had put in everything into this vehicle, and they were so proud. That's what we loved too. There was, all of the guys there, but the welder in particular, Jean, he was so proud of his work. I mean, he's a welder. He welds all day long, every day. You'd think, okay, maybe he's not even paying attention to what he does. He's very good at what he does. But he'd weld, and then he'd come, and he'd just want to show us that. Have a look at this. And he was so proud of a particular weld that he'd done. And I have so much respect for good tradesmen, and this, knowing that this passion went into our vehicle, which is also our home. It was just fantastic. I get emotional just thinking back to that as well. And we still keep in touch with those guys regularly, and they feel like family to us for sure.
You guys have kind of alluded to Leigh's job a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about your job and how it affects how you travel overland? Because you're popping in and out, like you said. And how does that work for Steph? Does she... I mean, I know that she sometimes goes back to France, sometimes stays with the truck, but how does that affect your lives, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's so I've worked in this industry, working in the oil and gas industry and offshore primarily for 20 years now. I have taken extended breaks from the industry. So I think maybe I had 3 years out at one time. So we do it. We have done it for many years.
Basically, you started working again at the time of the rebuild.
Yes.
And since then you've
I've continued to do it. So that was a big change in our the way we overlanded. I was actually working. We never used to document it or talk about it in the YouTube videos earlier when we were in Central Asia. I was working then as well. I was working in China, and Steffi lived in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. That was her base because the visas are nice there, and we could keep the car there for a year. But we have to balance that, because then we had to think always, okay, where are we going to end up with the car? Does Steffi stay with the vehicle in that country if the visa allows, if she's comfortable to stay? Do we get her a little Airbnb, or does she stay in the camper? A lot of times, as you know, in Central Asia, it's really good because the backpackers or the hostels, they cater for the overlanders with a very nice parking area, and you can roll in there. So Steffi would often just live and stay with the camper. She loved it.
I've got 2 very good memories of Bishkek, where I stayed in 2 different hostels, and every day I was meeting travelers, and it was super social, and it was great. So that was one time. And then it was the whole part of the rebuild, so we didn't have a vehicle. So there I was staying in Airbnb. So it's always different, and we really have to be careful of the duration of the import of the car, how long you can leave the car in one place, our own visa. But with Leigh going to work, it also brings some breaks within the overlanding, and that keeps the passion alive, and you miss it. You're like, okay, it's time to go again.
Yeah, it's definitely given us, this opportunity. And it is, like I mentioned before, it's rotational work. So if I didn't do this job, then we wouldn't be able to travel like we do, or for as long as what we do. So that we have done. So it's, it works quite well. It's not for everybody, it's a challenge. Of course, I go away for a month at a time. Sometimes Steffi stays with the vehicle. Sometimes she returns to France, as you mentioned. We did recently buy a house as well. So we've got a house in the French Pyrenees. I don't go there very often, but there is a house there, and it's been cool too to have that base. But we still spend far more time traveling out of GrizzlyNBear than what we do at the house in France, because we love it, and we think, well, it's nice to have that base now, but that house is not going anywhere. We'll continue doing this while the passion is still strong. But yeah, it is a good job, and we balance it and manage it. There's always challenges though, always challenges constantly with where I'm going to work. Will work fly me from the random countries I'm in all the time, and I have to tell them, okay, this time I need you to fly me from Salalah, and then I need you to fly me back to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, for example, which is maybe what's happening very soon. Yeah, and they've been very cool with it, but it's there's definitely challenges, but the benefits are that I only have to work 6 months a year. We get to travel the other 6 months a year, and it works really well. Yeah.
And then you have stories to share with each other when you're reunited too. Like Steph has some stories to share about her experiences, and you're spending quite a bit of time together, I'm assuming, in a small space most of the time. So having the time apart, I imagine is good in a way.
Yeah, it gives you definitely. It's like a honeymoon period every second month, you know.
Yeah,
I have more stories to share, more exciting stories to share than him.
Yeah, I just go to work, but no, I really enjoy my job too, so it makes it easy. And then I've got my offshore family, and then I come home, and I'm then again so excited to get back and continue the journey with Steffi and the rig. And Steffi takes good care of it while I'm away, which is very nice. And it's good. And we're used to it. I mean, this is when I met Stephanie in Thailand all those years ago. I was already working in this industry, so for us and our relationship, it's never been any different. It's what we know and what we're used to, and it's given us the opportunity to do a lot, which is very nice.
Excellent. I have a fun fact about you guys, and you're like morning people, but like really morning people, like 3:30 to 4 a.m. wake up time. I was reading that you're in bed by 8 p.m., which I should probably let you go in the next, 15 minutes or so you can, you're not staying up too late. I appreciate that.
Sometimes.
How does that impact your day? Waking up that early. So what's your routine? What's happening? What does your day look like?
So in the camper, so we sleep
east to west.
East to west. Thank you. So Leigh has the side that he can get out of bed, because Leigh wakes up before me. I don't know what time, but my time is a little bit after him. It depends. If we need to go early, he will make a bit of noise when he makes his coffee. But Leigh can get out of bed, make his coffee.
Try not to make any noise, but
and does his email, and then soon after I will wake up and we get ready and we live with the sun. And as sunrise, we start driving, or we go hiking or climbing. And sometimes we come back from our activity and people are not even started their day. They just start their day, and that feels so good.
Yeah, we love it. I just love the mornings. I like to train in the mornings too. So I'll get up, have a coffee like Steph says, and then I might go for an early morning run or do a little training routine if we're not climbing, try a little bit to keep fit, because it's challenging to maintain a routine when you're traveling, and so you got to be disciplined. So I like that the very early morning starts, and I don't know, like I can't sit up till midnight because I'm like, well, what do I do when the sun goes down? There's nothing for me to do anymore. So I may as well just go to sleep, wake up early, get some things done. I often am running in the dark though, or training with my head torch on. But it has affected, I guess, our journey in the fact that we can't really travel with others. It sounds rude, but our time is just so far out from most other travelers that we haven't been able to ever do convoy. So we've always traveled alone, and that's the reason, is because I'm up at like between 3 and 3:30 in the morning. I wake up, and then and sometimes we're ready to go. We'd prefer to start driving and be driving, watching the sun come up, and then stop early and enjoy the afternoon, explore the region we're in. There's some people that maybe like to start later, most people I think, and then drive, and then they're finding their camp at night, and I'm like, no, I want to be already set up. Doesn't always work out that way, but that's the idea, and I don't set an alarm for that time either. It's just the body clock. I think I've always been an early riser, even since I was younger. And but yeah, we've only, I think in the 9 years we've been on the road, we've a couple of times actually traveled with others, you know, and every time I'm sitting around in the morning waiting for them to wake up, I'm like, I'm ready to go. And then 6 hours later, they're ready to go. So it's affected, I guess, the journey that we've been very solo overlanders for all those years. Although recently we did travel with an awesome
3 vehicles
Australian troopy convoy. And they were military position. Yeah, he's ex-military guy. He was early riser, packed up same time as us every morning. So it was a pleasure to travel with them. We traveled on the same time frame.
558 engine off. Yeah, 558 engine is on.
Yeah, always every morning. All waiting. But yeah, it does. But we like it, and I can't change that. There's no way where. And I'm lucky that Steffi doesn't want to sleep in until 10 o'clock because it wouldn't work.
Fair enough. Have you found like for working out, like it's difficult in some areas because of wildlife in Africa, or it's just like so hot, or I don't know. Obviously, the dark doesn't matter too much for a workout, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I guess in Africa, for example, you can't. Although I did run quite a bit, but depending on where you are, it's in the back of your mind. But again, like Africa is like Australia, I think, when people talk about wild animals, you know, and it's these days, there's not many places in Africa where the animals are still in the wild. You know, it's unfortunately because of, you know, human expansion and population growth. The animals now, the wild animals, the dangerous animals are mostly in national parks. So, you know, if you're in some places, I have gone for runs and stuff like that. And yeah, you're thinking about it, but then you're telling yourself, no, there's no lions here. There's nothing here. But it has affected us for sure, where we could go for a run, or sometimes the cold.
Dogs,
when we did the winter,
like street dogs.
Yeah, the dogs were actually in Taiwan. Taiwan was a problem going for. I used to go for my early morning runs there, and I used to have to take a stick because the dogs would attack me all the way that I was running through the mountains in Taiwan. That was, that affected me there for sure.
And for me, I will be, except if it's hiking or rock climbing, I don't do workouts so much anymore based on the car, because when Leigh goes to work, this is the time where I focus and I do some like YouTube programs of like weights or something. And when we're traveling, I don't so much.
No, we climb, we keep active, you know.
Like this morning, we went swimming in the ocean, and we try to keep active.
Yeah, it's important because that's. I think it's a big question, and it comes up a lot from other overlanders, and we're always interested in how other overlanders, long-term overlanders, keep fit and healthy if they would like to. You know, it's not for everybody. Again, some people don't travel to do that, but I think it's something you need to think about if you're going to travel long-term overland for sure, because the
position as well.
Yeah,
you know, you
sitting in the car a lot, and also too, we're not so strict with what we eat. We like to enjoy our food. You know, when we travel, I think that's an important part of overlanding. I'm not. I'm strict when I go away to work, but when we're traveling, I want to try everything, you know, whether it's sweets and all the good food that you can experience when you're traveling overland. You might get invited, which is a big one. It happens all the time. And I'm not going to say, oh, no, I don't want that beautiful looking piece of cake because I'm on a strict diet, you know, want to eat it. So if you do eat all the food that's offered because people are just so generous all the time and you're not working out, then that's going to be a problem. So I think it's important to try and find that balance of overland travel with a basic bit of active lifestyle, I guess.
Hankook Dynapro Tire welcomes you to visit expeditionportal.com and enjoy a series of adventures from the Jeep Beach event in Florida, the Bronco Stampede and Jeep Invasion in Tennessee, and the Off-Road Expo in California. Thanks, Hankook.
Yes, very important. Movement. And it's interesting, like the different regions. I feel like sometimes you're more active in some areas. Richard and I lost like over 5 pounds doing the premiere, and we have no idea why, if it's elevation or muscle loss or whatever, and we still don't know. But then, of course, we've come back to Canada for a bit and gaining muscle back, and the treats, at Christmas, all that. And so it's like regional and like food, and more active in some areas and less active in other areas, and different factors. And different countries and regions have different things to offer. So it's kind of like adapting in all those different ways that you're always doing. But
definitely.
Yeah. Who inspires you and why?
It's gonna be tough. For me, a big inspiration was Koen and Karen from Land Cruising Adventure for the long distance hiking part. Mainly, I discovered through them when they stayed with me in Bishkek in 2018, maybe something like that. We watched together the movie Wild. I think that's the name of the movie. And they were telling me about that long distance hike and how the toothbrush has to be cut in half to have this weight removed, and how they don't take pillows, and how all those things. And I was very fascinated. And
the big inspiration, definitely. I think, also Koen and Karen from Land Cruising Adventure. I mean, a lot of Overlanders have inspired us over the years, but those guys, like Steffi said, for the hiking, but another one for me that I think I learned from them was the art of slow travel, because they're big believers in that. They did. I remember speaking to Koen, because Steffi had stayed with them already for weeks, or maybe even a full month before I arrived back from work, and of course met Koen and Karen. We had a fantastic time. The four of us, we went rock climbing in the morning, and then snowboarding and skiing in the afternoon in Kyrgyzstan. So we got to do both in the same day, and just had such a great time with them. And I remember Koen telling me a story how, when they started, it was a similar story to every Overlander's beginning, the unknown. How long are we going to do this for? Are we going to have a deadline? This, that, and the other. And their original plan, was to do the full Pan American. They were going to start in South America and drive all the way to Alaska, as everybody does. And then I think, 9 years later, they still hadn't left South America, and they just loved it. They're just like, why? We love it here. Why should we? And they just went around and did squiggly lines all over South America. And they never. And his initial plan was to move rapidly, was to go all the way to Alaska and do it over a couple of years. I think that's what I remember him telling me. And then I was just I was blown away. And then, like 9 years later, he's still in the same on the same continent. He hasn't even moved on. And I thought it was so inspirational.
And the fact also that it's okay to take break.
Yes.
Yes.
To stop, pause, to enjoy it again. And it's okay to do that.
Yes. Yeah. So there's
no set rules. It's not like you're Overlander. You should not stop. You should not stay in a cabin for a month or. No, you can. And you can go on a long distance hike, and you can go and visit your family for a month if you need. Yeah, there's no rules to this. We learned that from them as well. There's no rules. There's nothing to prove to anybody. We're doing what we love. We're not playing out of some rule book or textbook. We don't have to live in this camper 12 months a year, 365 days a year. And they taught us so much. Big inspirations about this life-work balance and overlanding and keeping that passion strong for the long term. So we love those guys.
Shout out to Land Cruising Adventure. They are an inspiration, and it's such a wonderful thing that we have those people that we look to for inspiration, and it changes our lives, and then we pass that along, and people are inspired. And by your journey, lots and lots and lots of people are inspired by your journey as well. And who knows how that's affected them too. So Yeah. So that's a great place to let you guys go so you can at least get to bed before 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me and congratulations. And where can we find you
Ash.
online?
Oh, we've got the Steffi that puts in a lot of hard work in making her videos on GrizzlyNBear Overland. And we can mention too, I think maybe you already said something, but Grizzly is the camper and Bear is our vehicle. People are asking, so who's Grizzly and who's Bear? We said, no. I know, quick fun fact, the reason why that was Bear was called Bear because when we bought the first Defender, the one that was unfortunately in the accident in Portugal many years ago, which you can see on Steffi's video way back, 2017, it came with a bear bumper on the front of it. And our original plan, after we did our little warm-up with the new setup, was to ship from Belgium to Halifax. We were coming to Canada. So, and we bought this four-wheel camper, which was also a model, Grizzly model. So we had Bear the Defender, we had Grizzly the camper. We said, and we're going to Canada. Let's just call this setup the GrizzlyNBear. So that's how that came about.
So we can find you online on YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah,
Instagram, GrizzlyNBear.
We're not as active as what we used to be, I guess, on the Instagram and Facebook. Well, we do post a little bit of stuff, but the videos keep rolling. That's where we like to share the story the most, I think. And keep it always about the people, the culture,
Well, thank you so much for continuing to share your journey. And we have been honored to come along for the ride. So I wish you guys all the best in the next stage of your journey. And I hope that we can see each other in person one day. And thanks for taking the time to come on the podcast and chat with me.
You guys all the best also with your future travels. And we might catch you in a year or so, maybe next year, end of this year.
Fingers crossed. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the Overland Journal podcast listeners for tuning into this episode. You can find more podcasts on all the podcast apps, and we will catch you next time.